these are the real people themselves. And to see this level of vulnerability and love and generosity and healing, it's just so powerful.
My name is Mark. I'm Santana's dad. You know, unfortunately, she couldn't make it right now. You know, we from Washington D.C, so we had bad weather. You know, so they're at the airport right now on their way. Yeah, so that's about it. I'm just happy to be here.
Perfect.
I'm Chad Morris. Led the Father Circle in the groups.
I'm Natalie Ray, one of the directors of the film.
I'm Angela Patton, the other co-director of the film.
I'm Kerry Washington, so lucky to be an EP on the film.
I'm Jayana, one of the daughters of the film, and I'm Frank's daughter.
Yes, I'm Frank Walker, and that's my daughter.
Well, Jayana, I'm going to start with you.
Yes.
Because this is about daughters. What does it mean, or actually, what was it like to be approached by these filmmakers that were interested in telling your family's story?
Well, I actually liked it because it just made me feel like I was, I don't know, like popular. Like I just felt seen and good. Like I liked it. And the film is perfect. I like it. Every little thing about it, I like it.
Natalie, yeah, what does it mean to hear that?
I mean, it's incredible. You know, it was so important to us that the film was really a collaboration and told from these girls' perspectives. It's all about their experience and how they feel and being vulnerable to open that up to us. So it feels amazing. If they're happy, I'm happy. Yeah, they're so special.
Yes, when I hear one of the girls say that it was enlightening, it just reminds me of the girls who founded the dance, because they said that this was something they needed and something that they felt that other girls like them would appreciate. And so I'm just happy to hear that the young people voices were heard and were amplified, and they were looking out for her and more girls.
Because Angela, that's the whole thing. This all started with girls who wanted to have this moment with their fathers. As you kind of look back at the now 12 years of this program, what kind of impact have you seen for the girls and also for their dads?
Well, for the girls, I have seen that they had the answer all along. I also have seen with the fathers an awakening. And that particular moment for them, it wasn't just the dance. I really believe it was that process of working with Brother Chad and being able to be with the brothers around them and really pour into each other and themselves and figure it out for themselves, right? But the young people, again, you know, when you work with them and co-create with them, a lot of times when we kind of get out of the way, they can figure out things that we would be very, I think, scared to do. We're scared to do that because we are adults now. And so I tend to step back and allow them to lead. And then I pretend to be that person that like is not scared, but I am. And then I have to trust. And so I think that they're learning how to trust themselves as well. That's the impact.
Kerry, how did you first find out about this project? Because obviously, in many ways, it's continuing the work that you're doing at Simpson Street already with Unprisoned. So it feels like a kind of a perfect kismet match.
Yeah, it was so exciting to learn about the documentary and to see this story being told in a reality-based way, right? To telling our story is obviously inspired by a true story of a daughter who had a dad who was incarcerated most of her life, but these are the real people themselves. And to see this level of vulnerability and love and generosity and healing, it's just so powerful, and it's beautifully told in this format. So we're really excited at Simpson Street to get to continue to open people's eyes around what's happening with this so-called justice system and how it really is impacting people's lives, not just the person who's incarcerated, although that alone is enough to be able to reconsider this system, but how the pain of what happens in these prisons ripples out into the lives of people around them who love them. So I think the film does a really beautiful job of continuing to tell the story that we're telling on Unprisoned, and to really affirm the truth that we have to do better by our families in this country, you know, and that everybody is capable of love and healing, no matter what you've done on your worst day, no matter what mistakes you've made. Everybody deserves to be loved and to love and to live a life that holds on to that feeling of freedom and possibility.
Chad, in the film, you have a very important message about self-love and how we don't often allow that for ourselves. You know, Frank and Mark, you were hearing that. Tell me a little bit about the experience of, one, being documented for this film, but then also watching it back. Yeah, Mark, I'll start with you.
It was life-changing. You know, I learned a lot from this great mentor right here, Chad, man. I just like to thank everybody for being here. I like to thank Natalie, like to thank Miss Angela, I like to thank Lisa. Man, I learned a lot. Like, I don't know if I'm not even gonna say too much. I'm gonna just say it changed my life. I haven't been incarcerated in 6 years, you know, and like Kerry said, this message needs to get out to the world of how much daughters really need their fathers. Cause I got a lot of friends that didn't grow up with parents, or they grew up with one parent, just their mother, and you could just see the difference in somebody that has both parents or somebody that has no parents. So daughters definitely need their fathers, man. Like I said, man, he taught us about self-love. He taught us about, you know, just parenthood and just manhood. Like it's just manly just to be there, you know. And that it changed. Like I said, it changed my life. It definitely changed my life. Life changing.
Frank, what about for you?
Yes, like you said, I took my head off to Chad because we battled in it. We done went back and forth, disputes, and about how it is to be a father, and it's hard. It's hard. Yeah.
Chad, to be a part of this and for people to see that work that you are doing, you know, as a fatherhood life coach. I mean, it's a very specific role. What was important to capture about those conversations that you're having?
For men and fathers in particular, we don't have a lot of spaces of being able to create a safe space, to be trusting enough, to be vulnerable enough to tell the truth, to dig into your own stuff. And so starting from a place, and you're dealing with men who have no problem putting their lives on the line for things they deem necessary or for impulse. So when you move into a space where it's a closed room and they don't know me from Adam, I told them in the beginning, what I learned from my mentor is, I'm not here to be your teacher, I'm here to guide a conversation. And if we guide our conversation from a place of exploring respect and values outside of conflict, in a safe space where you can begin to share what your experiences have been, if you can look back and use the rear view, that can be one of the best indicators of where you should be going to course correct. And so for me, it was important to be involved with this, and I'm highly honored to have operated for a number of years in partnership with Angela and her work with children. I'm a girl dad too. And so not being a teacher, these men teach me way more by me being able to explore and just guide a conversation, to be vulnerable and know that no matter what your opinion is, we're not going to judge it, but I'm going to ask you how you think it's going to work out if you use that logic to continue forward. So we challenge each other to be, as Frank said, we challenge each other in those spaces to be vulnerable, to have these conversations for the point of, if you can look at a situation of being a parent with no book, no manual being given to you, I can't tell you what to do. Can't tell you how to do it, but I can challenge you to expand on your knowledge and shift your attitude base. If you shift your attitude, you shift your perspective. You shift your perspective, you can create a different point of view to course correct. Because ultimately it's about the daughters.
Can I double click on that? Because there's a point in watching the film where people might have an experience maybe that I had when watching the film, which was I got real mad at these people. I got real mad at you and you for putting these dads and these daughters in this position where they had to say goodbye at the end of the dance. And then you watch what happens where these men who have to put on this mask to survive every day in prison, you watch them stand in a circle and love each other and hold space for each other's vulnerability and healing. And you watch these girls be held by their moms and know that love can hurt, but that's because you're lucky to love, right? And so creating that space where you can experience loss because you're getting the blessing of experiencing love is so profound. It challenged me to think, like, even as a parent, as a mom, for me to think my job is not to protect my kids from sadness. My job is to hold space for them to be able to have the big feelings, because that's the richness of life. And that's what this program is doing. It's so beautiful. You watch it for the daughters and for the dads.
And this was an 8-year journey that we got a chance to see this through. Yeah.
I know you're all grown up.
What was the moment where you're like, okay, this is actually going to come to fruition? I mean, yeah, what is it like to be here now on the other side of it, knowing the challenges of making any film?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. You know, for me, it was just Natalie's dedication. That's something that just like excites me, commitment. Because as a Black woman in the state of Virginia, I'm told every day that I should not be working with Black girls, right? That is not why you're here. That's not something you should do. And I just kind of just love it when someone says, we're going to do this, Angela. And Natalie has been that person, because I'm running an organization and trying to make sure this film happens. And she was just on the ground that we're going to raise this money. We're going to continue to connect with the families. And together, that just was a magnet for me. And so we stayed that course, and she stayed connected not only to me, but to the families. That I believe is what made us a family today as a whole unit. So that 8-year journey had many bumpy roads, but we figured out how to truly get through every hurdle together. And we also were like the gentleman in the circle. We had our arguments too.
Yeah, definitely.
We had our differences too, but we stayed in it because we both had the same goal. We were both goal-oriented. And so COVID, whatever it was, this is why I'm so excited to be here with her today.
It's so special. Yes. It's gone by fast, but it's been a hard, long road. And but because I think we share such a deep passion for the wisdom of these girls and what their intuition can do, we're just so rooted in it that, like, our dedication to it's unwavering. So it's been such a blessing to have someone that in the trying times, it's a pandemic, now we've lost our funding, or this happens, or we can't get a hold of families because their phones are not connected and we think they don't want to be part of the project anymore. What's going on? So there's been so many stages, but we always just stay the course together. And we've grown so much. Like, in 8 years, you become a different person. I think for me, when I felt that we had enough to really do the story justice was, again, really following the girls' leads. We didn't know where it was going to go. So we just, year after year, being part of the lives of these families, I just finally, when there was real inner change, from some of these girls and their fathers, and that spoke for itself. And that was so profound and beautiful that we were like, okay, we have a film. This is amazing. Yeah.
I want to add one thing, too, about the families and Chad around trusting us. Chad and I work together in many other places as well in Richmond, Virginia. And Chad would ask me every year, what's going on with the film? What's going on with the film? And the families would touch base, but all of them believed in it enough where they didn't give up either. And not only would they ask what was going on, they asked, how can I help? And that, to me, kept me motivated, too, because it was not just important to Natalie and I. We also had people who were depending on us, right? And we wanted to make sure that we stayed that course again.
Yeah,
right?
totally.
Which was very challenging, especially when it comes to money. Two women raising money is not easy in America, but here we are.
Yeah, and we sometimes we have to put our producer hats on, fundraising, do the thing. So we're just always doing all the roles, and we have figured it out. But I had one memory, like during the pandemic, it became a lot harder to like fly to DC, but we were doing it, and I was starting to go, oh my God, how can we keep this going? And Joanna took me to get my nails done one day, and we like had lunch and our nails, and she was like, "You got this, Natalie." And now I'm like, wait, the girls are giving me the encouragement to keep going. So that was like what kept me going, pretty much. Yeah,
absolutely. That's so beautiful.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a beautiful project. And Kerry, I was thinking, while you were talking, Angela, that is also the same conversation we're having on a more Hollywood level when it comes to Black women telling Black women's stories. I mean, that is very much your goal with Simpson Street. When you think about, what it took on their side for the 8 years to make this happen, and now to be a part of, putting it out there, why is it so important for you to use that platform for a documentary like this one?
So I have two kind of opposing answers to that question. One is that, people always ask me why I'm drawn to political work. And I say I'm not drawn to political work. It's just that I'm a woman and I'm a Black person. And so in this body, when I center stories about me or stories that star people that look like me, it is considered political because the world wants to push us out into the margins. And I think we all deserve to be at the center of the stories of our lives. So a project like this that centers people that society often tries to ignore, incarcerated fathers, young Black women, that is so important to us at Simpson Street, to always be pulling people away from the margins into the center so that we know our stories matter. But also I want to say, when we took Unprisoned to South by Southwest, we did 4 sit-down interviews with journalists, and 3 out of the 4 journalists that we talked to had a parent who was incarcerated, and they were all different ethnicities. It was a Latin woman, an Asian man, and a Black woman. And they all had a parent who was stuck in this system. So these families look the way they do because disproportionately Black folks are incarcerated in this country in rates that are embarrassing and atrocious, but it's also an American problem. This is an issue, this is a problem all across this country, that we are not invested in the healing and rehabilitation of people. We're invested in locking people up and breaking up families. That's what's so beautiful about this film, is that you see the power of just a dance, just these 6 hours together, how they expand way past the event to inspire somebody who's never been able to be out of prison for more than 3 months at a time to stay out for years, for 6 years, right? That's the power of investing in time with families and in treating people like human beings and not like chattel.
When we talk about the power of storytelling as a means of change, that's what we're doing here at a festival like this. I know that is manifested itself in a lot of different ways for you. You're also, Audible as well. Where do you look at, so we have documentary, we have narrative, we have documentary. What about audio storytelling? Could you see that a story like this one told through that medium as
Absolutely. Well? I actually think that's a really good idea to do a podcast with all the fathers and daughters. I think that would be great because you can see, even when you watch a film like this that's so invested in centering these folks, that each of them has so much more story to tell because each of us really is a universe unto ourselves. Like listening to Chad, I was like, I want a whole hour with Chad, right? Like you want to be able to know that people matter, that people are seen, that we see each other. That's what life is about. So this approach to storytelling, whether it's in a podcast form or a documentary form or a narrative form, it's all about taking the time, the pause to acknowledge each other's humanity. Because when we do that, when we see each other's humanity, we learn more about who we want to be. And sometimes we learn about who we don't want to be, but we learn to kind of go across the divides of what we think separates us to really honor each other's humanity and to feel a little less alone.
Gianna, what are you wearing to the premiere? Are you ready for your big red carpet moment?
Hair is good, that I know. I know this hair is great.
I'm gonna walk the runway, okay? Okay.
Yes.
I'm gonna walk the runway. I'm gonna. It's a surprise. Just wait and see. Y'all gonna see. It's a surprise.
You got your poses down. We know.
Yeah,
we know
I'm
you're ready.
We've
I'm ready.
seen.
I'm ready.
It's so special, that moment in the film where you see the dads all sitting and you see the girls way down the hallway and you see their sparkles out of focus as they come into focus in their dad's eyes and in their dad's lives. You know, that power of getting dressed up. It's going to be so fun to see it extend to the festival.
I want to add on to that. I can speak for every single girl. We was all nervous.
Yeah.
Every single one of us was nervous, scared, crying, shocked, like just so surprised. Me, I could speak from my point of view. I was scared, only because I watched too many movies. So I'm thinking like jails is like movies. So I'm just like, it's scary, like I'm scared. But when I got in there, it was just, I don't even know. It was just the whole way, and it was just like we just walked down and saw our fathers.
It was your dad.
Just,
all the scary stuff
like,
disappeared.
It just went
was
away.
your dad.
It was just like,
Do you
we're here
feel?
now.
Do you feel like that experience of walking through your fear that day, that it stayed with you, that it helps you walk through other things that are scary?
yes, it do.
Yeah,
It do. Yes.
it's good.
I would add that I believe that comes from the girls who originated the dance. They did have a chance to see the jail years ago. And they were like, this is spooky. It's dusty. It's rusty. I love the word. They were like, and then the girls actually requested for the fathers to have suits. They were like, we don't want them to wear this SpongeBob looking thing. Can they have suits? Like the girls put everything together because they were thinking about what that experience would look like for you when you walked in. And so they chose the colors. And they wanted to make sure it was flowers. They even asked if they could bring some mist in because it smelled sweaty. And so they actually created that environment. And so all the other dances that followed, we made sure that we incorporated everything that the girls said that they felt that they needed to feel comfortable walking in. Because it's just like you said, they were like, I heard that the dance, the jail was like scary, and we don't want that feeling. So this transformed this, and they decided everything. And then and like I said, you all have the answer. I'm just here, so I could just raise the money, decorate for you, and make sure that you have the experience that you deserve. That's the goal.
About creating those things that we deserve, both in our lives, in our work, in our community, in our relationships with everyone. This film is just absolutely beautiful and so touching, and I'm grateful to meet all of you. It's really, really lovely.
Yeah.
Thank you.